Hello everyone. Okay, so this is the final tutorial. We're going to write section 6 of your speech today, which is obviously the ending. And good news is, much like section 4, the climax, the ending is really short. And we just want to leave them with a final message, really, something we want them to do or think about. And the ending's really important because obviously it's the last thing that your audience is going to hear. It's really thinking, what message do I want them to take away with them? When they sit there reflecting on everything I've just said, what big thing do I want them to have in their mind as I stop talking? And if you can capture that in the ending, then that's obviously a really powerful way to do it. Okay, so I have written mine, and you'll see it's short. We all have a moral duty to educate ourselves about the horrors faced by some of the poorest and most vulnerable children across the world. We all have a moral duty to reject fashion that is tainted by the exploitation of children. We all have a moral duty to stand against child labour so that all children can be the lucky ones. As I say, really short, it is 3 sentences. So, 3 questions. How have I used language to try and add impact to the ending of my speech? How have I linked my last sentence to my first sentence? How well does the speech work as a whole? Is there anything you would like to edit, change, improve? If you could give me advice on something you thought, it would be better if, what would you do? You may have nothing for that because you know I am a genius. But please answer those 4 questions, make a few notes, pause the video and then restart it. Okay, so hopefully you all clocked that I've used anaphora, and I think anaphora is a brilliant way to end a speech because anaphora creates a kind of crescendo effect. And so I've used this phrase, we all have a moral duty too, and I've repeated that 3 times to create this kind of growing wave. And each thing I've tried to kind of up the ante a bit. We all need to educate ourselves, reject, stand against. So the verbs I've chosen are kind of getting a little bit more purposeful, if you like, with each time. So it just creates that nice kind of powerful ending, and it's really clear to the audience what it is I want them to do. And telling someone it's a moral duty is quite powerful, isn't it? Because it suggests, it implies, if you don't do this, you're somehow immoral, that you're a bad person. So I'm not directly saying if you don't care about child labour, you're bad, but I'm implying it through the phrasing. Of course, I've got this phrase again about the lucky ones. The idea of being lucky is something my very first sentence included the word lucky. My very last sentence includes the word lucky. I like that. It's called a cyclical structure when you go back to the beginning at the end, and I just like the kind of cohesiveness and flow of it, so that's why I did that. And obviously the last 2 are questions that you would need to ask yourself. How well does the speech work as a whole? Well, I've tried to make it work well as a whole. I think every section has got a clear identity. Every section is doing its job, whether it's creating ethos, logos, pathos, changing the tone to more hopeful. Every section's got its job. And obviously each section I've tried to use conjunctions to link different parts together. In regards to edits, changes, improvements, I can definitely see a few. I wrote the speech a couple of days ago in preparation, and now recording the lessons and reading it, I'm thinking, oh, I'd like to change that. Oh, that could be better if I did that. And that's the thing about being a writer. You write it, you go away from it, you come back to it, you read it aloud, you realise that there's things you can do better. Okay, so over to you then to write the end of your speech. I suggest you use anaphora. It's only a suggestion. You can end your speech however you want. But really, as I say, I just want you to write a final part that is short and punchy, that the audience can be left with a powerful message in their head as you walk away and stop talking. Once you've done that, once you've written your ending, can you also please read your whole speech? Maybe leave it for 2 days and then come back to it. Read it aloud to yourself. Read it aloud to a parent or a carer. Just think about, do the bits link together effectively? Does it feel like a nice flowing story of that's building momentum, or does it feel a bit jumpy? Have you used rhetorical figures? I've used anadyplosive, anaphora, hyperphora. I haven't, antithesis. I haven't loaded it with just endless persuasive devices because then it sounds rubbish. But I've woven them in where I want to create impact. So think about whether you've managed to do that. Have you thought about your audience? Remember, we're aiming this speech at people of your age, aspirational people who care about the world. So have you got the tone right for that? And lastly, have you mixed the style? I said to you in a previous session that the best speeches tend to have a mix of styles. They have some bits which are really formal, that use quite complex language, and other parts that are really friendly and conversational. Have you managed to achieve that? So 2 things for you to do today: write your ending and then proofread, edit, revise, improve your whole speech. And on that note, well done. I've said this time and again, but I'm going to say it again. Email it to your English teacher. We want to help you. We want to give you advice on how to make it better. So please either type it up or take photographs of your book and send your speech to your English teacher, who will send you advice and feedback on how to improve it. Thanks, guys.